Hello, sport fans. Mauricio here. Well, at this point, we have our nice web page, and it has some views, each one showing a grid view with data. Those are all put in just by using the very simple to use dataadapter.fill data table. So we did in the data adapter have a SQL statement select star from, but none of these are running one of our stored procedures. That's how we started, and it's useful to have an when you turn on the system, there's a list of all your products, categories, or whatever. Sales analysis, on this view, we ran some of our stored procedures. So each of these is more complex than just select star from. Each of these is, well, some of them are group bys, some of them are select from wheres. But they're all simplistic in that there's no input parameters. Today we'll talk about output parameters also. But as you can see so far, you can call a stored procedure. Let's see if we can find that code. You can call a stored procedure. Yeah. See, that's just the data adapter. Go ahead and get my full table. So that's not calling a stalled procedure. That's just the data adapter very easily getting data and putting it in a data table, and then the grid view can display what's in the data table. Yeah, here it is. So so far we did that, and we made commands, and the commands run a stored procedure, and then you tell the command which stored procedure to run, and then you actually tell that command to work. So you wrap the command into a data adapter. If you want to get data back, then you have to wrap the command in a data adapter. So for example, a select statement and you want data back, you have to put the command inside a data adapter. Then it's our same data adapter.fill an array. This is a global array data table. This is a nice trick here. Watch that. So did you ever use that in Excel? But you can use that two-headed button, I guess, or option, and so those are our data tables. I made them global. Public shared means they're global, and by the way, they're created outside any procedure. Variables inside a procedure are called local variables. Variables outside a procedure, like these whole bunch of data tables. Objects created outside a procedure, public shared, which you put them all at the top for easy organization. They are special in that they can be accessed from any procedure in the whole web page. So we like to use global data tables, and then the data table is displayed in a grid view. So a grid view displays data from an array. Microsoft calls this particular array a data table. I made them global in case any other procedure needed to get that data. So we've done that. We made the command, we ran the command, and then we view the data. And that's what I was just showing you. We ran the data, put the data in this grid view, and it's helpful because you can make the stored procedure in SSMS, test it out, turn it into stored procedure, test out the query, turn it into stored procedure, and then just call it from your web page. So a web developer doesn't even need to know how the stored procedure works. They can just create a command and say, well, just go run that thing. Not that you would do that, but so anyway, we're gonna kick it up today, and in the products table, what we're gonna do is save a product. So now we're gonna run our stored procedure, add new product. So please bring up your stored procedure, add new product, and it's very handy to copy the input parameters. So what could go wrong? Well, first of all, you have to provide values for each and every input parameter. So what can go wrong? You forgot one, or you forgot all of them. What else can go wrong? Wrong name, wrong data type. So we're getting values from the web page to put into our SQL insert statement. So you could put the wrong data into the wrong parameter. So if the parameter was hair color, and you put in shoe size because you picked the wrong text box, that would be another mistake. And well, that's at least 4. But not providing a value for each and every parameter is pretty important. It is, would also be a mistake. So of course it's important to keep track of your parameters and provide them values. It's pretty nice to see them here. And yeah, let's go find our Server Explorer, and we should be able to also see our stored procedures here. You can't open it, but add new product. So that's pretty handy. We have our list here, so that's pretty handy. But what we need to do is make a web interface to receive user entry of these, for each of these input parameters. I was just thinking, what else could go wrong, Featherman? You didn't make your primary key auto number, and some other columns must have a default value of 0, but you didn't do that in the design, which of course I've made all of these mistakes 100 times. So, but we need to make the interface. We need to check the data entry. We need to create the command. We need to load each of those input parameters with values from the web page, and then we need to run, execute the stored procedure, and then give some type of feedback. And since we added a new product, we should refresh the grid view for products. So luckily, so this update analytics, let's put that in a region. So I don't ever need to go look at this code again, unless I want to add to that. But we have a grid view called refresh grid views, so I think that's utility code. So yeah, refresh. So we'll run this at the end, and it's going to refresh all the grid views, select the data, and refresh these grid views. But that's okay. So let's go ahead and start by making the user interface, and here we go. I don't know. All right, so, maybe that should say add products. Add a new product. All right, so as I mentioned, I am not your professor for building a very beautiful web page, but I do know how to use a table. So we'll go ahead and do that. And hey, here we go. So here are the list of input parameters that we need. So let's go ahead and just type those. Product name, by the magic of pause. So here's the list of input parameters that we need. Let's go back and take a look at our stored procedure. So it doesn't hurt to go review what your stored procedure is. And let me just be Captain Obvious here. I gave you the code to add a product, and then you wrote your own code to add a category, etc. in the homework. So the real learning happens, when you get my code to work, and then you write some other code that's similar, and put all that together, and that's a final project. But I wouldn't say you're done if you just review the content and go right to the homework. You're done when you have deeply understood the content because you experimented. So I encourage your experimentation. That's the learning process. I just remembered I like this stored procedure because it's going to calculate the sales price for me. So we're going to capture the cost. We're going to get the cost of the product, but we're not going to enter the sales price. We're going to just use a flat 50% markup for the sales price. So when we do our insert, we're going to receive the cost, but we're going to calculate behind the scenes, just right there. We're going to calculate the sales price. So I like that. But I didn't talk about this. I added, and I want you to please add a new type of parameter. So this is not an input parameter. So that's probably good to review. Input parameters require input. You have to give a value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 input parameters. I have to give it 5 values that match the data types in the right order. We also had a couple of local variables which are used to store a value, retrieve a value, hold the value, or do some calculation. So variables inside our stored procedures do not require input from the program user. Variables inside a procedure are just used for data processing. But now we have something new called an output parameter. So before we had used print statements. So give some feedback, which is about all we had to troubleshoot our stored procedures. So we click the messages tab and then take a look at what message we got back. So what we're going to do is remove the print statement and replace it with output parameter, which is getting feedback. So the print statement, what does it do? Provide feedback. Output parameters, what are we going to use it for? Provide feedback. You could also use an output parameter if you were writing something like a function, like what's a payment on a house or car. If I tell you the principal, interest, and number of periods of payment. So there you go, output parameters. And we're going to just set that output parameter, and that value is going to go back to the web page. We'll see you in the next video.